Welcome to Module 5, Part 10. In the last section, we discussed the 555 timer, which produces accurate time delays or oscillations. Now, we are going to discuss in this section one of the application of the 555 timer, that is a stable multivibrator. Here, the 555 timer is connected to operate as a stable multivibrator or free running oscillator. Here you can see the threshold and the trigger pin are interconnected. Then a coupling capacitor C1 of 0.01 microfarad is connected to the control voltage pin of the 555 timer. This capacitor does not have any role in the operation of the multivibrator. This is just for deep decoupling. Resistor R1, R2 and capacitor C external form the timing circuitry in this particular multivibrator. These components set the frequency of oscillation. Reset pin, as I have already told you in the internal diagram of 555 timer, when it is low, the circuitry will be reset. VCC pin number 8, supply is provided to this, and the discharge pin is connected to the junction of the two resistors R1 and R2. This is the internal diagram of the astable multivibrator. This is the internal diagram of the 555 timer. We have resistor RA, RB, RC. They form resistor voltage divider. The voltage at this point will be 1 by 3 VCC. The voltage at this point will be pin number 5, 2 by 3 VCC. So pin number 6 will check the voltage across the capacitor C external. It will compare, pin number 6 will compare the voltage across C external and 2 by 3 VCC and give the output. Similarly, the trigger pin, which is the input pin, compares the voltage, pin number 2 compares the voltage with 1 by 3 VCC and gives the output. Initially, the transistor QD is off so that there won't be any discharge. This path or this transistor is off, so there is no path from here. It is an open circuit. QD is open circuit over here, so there is no path. So initially the capacitor C charges through this path. Charging takes place through this path. The capacitor is charging through the resistance R1 and R2. So it will take some time to charge. Initially it will take some time to charge. Then this is measured at pin number 6. If pin number 6, the voltage across the capacitor is measured, if it crosses this 2 by 3 VCC, so pin number 6 voltage across the capacitor crosses 2 by 3 VCC, then this comparator will be set. This will be 1. So reset is 1, which means Q is 0 and Q bar is 1. Reset is 1, Q is 0 Q bar, this is Q bar, you can see a bubble over here, so Q bar is 1 and output is 0. So when this is 1, this is fed to the base terminal of QD. So when base terminal of QD is 1, this transistor will be on. When this transistor is on, the capacitor starts discharging through this path. When this transistor is on, there is a closed path over here and the capacitor starts discharging through this path to the ground. Now the capacitor starts discharging, the voltage starts falling down. So here once it crosses VDD, the transistor will be on and now the capacitor starts discharging. Once the capacitor starts discharging like this and it comes below 2 by 3 VCC, comes below 2 by 3 VCC, this will become 0. So this is still 0. Now it starts discharging, keep on discharging, it keeps on discharging. Once it crosses beyond this 1 by 3 VCC, so if the voltage is greater than 1 by 3 VCC, this will be high. Initially it was 0, now it will be high. 0 0 state RS is its RS flip flop 0 0 state and no change. So now it is 0 1 state. So when this is 1, set will be 1 and the Q output will be 1. So I'll erase these previous cases to show you what happens. So this I'll erasing. Okay. Now when set is 1, Q output is 1 and this is Q bar output is 0 and the buffer output over here it is 1. Earlier it was 0, now it has changed to 1. So this is 0 is fed to the base terminal of QD transistor. So if this is 0, then this transistor is off. When this transistor is off, this part is an open circuit now. There is no path over here. So this path is blocked. Now capacitor again starts charging from this path. So again it starts charging from 1 by 3 VCC, again it comes down. Once it crosses 1 by 3 VCC, that is the voltage at pin number 2 is less than 1 by 3 VCC. Earlier it was greater than 1 by 3, over here you can see it was greater than 1 by 3 VCC. Now it starts charging, the capacitor starts charging and the voltage is greater than, earlier it was greater, now it is less than 1 by 3 VCC, this becomes 0. 0 0 state, you know, no change over here. Transistor is still off, it starts charging and then once it crosses this 2 by 3 VCC, again this will be set. So I'll clear this over here and this part to show you what happens exactly in the next part. So once charging has crossed this 2 by 3 VCC, this will be 1. So once this voltage 6 is greater than 2 by 3 VCC, 6 is greater than 2 by 3 VCC, this is greater than 1 by 3 VCC. So when this is greater than 1 by 2 by 3 VCC, this will be 1. Reset is 1 means Q is 0 and Q bar is 1. Q bar is 1, there is a not over here, so this will be back to 0. So the output just changes from 1 0 1 0, okay, 1 and 0. and the voltage across this capacitor will be charging like this, charge, and then it will be discharging. So now this is 1. When this is 1, over here the transistor will be on, and then the capacitor starts discharging through this path. It starts discharging to ground. So it starts discharging, this starts discharging. Once it is less than 2 by 3 VCC, you know what happens, this will be 0, and again it discharges and it crosses. So this process continues and you get a proper square wave. By designing the resistors R1 and R2, we get a square wave over here. These are the waveforms, the output. Based on the capacitor charging and discharging, you get the output there. So capacitor charges through the resistor R1 and R2, it has to charge, so it takes some time because R1, this is R1 plus R2 over here, and discharge is through R2. You can check in the diagram there, discharge is through just through R2. So it takes lot of time to charge because it is R1 plus R2. So this on time is high, and then discharge is only through resistor R2. So this off time is less. Based on the values of the resistors, you can set the on time and the off time. Now here you can see the duty cycle is more. Duty cycle is, you all know, T on divided by T. T is the total time, T on plus T off, into 100 will give you the duty cycle. Now here duty cycle is more, or T on is more, so it is more than 50%. I can see, you can see here, this is high and this is low, so it is more than 50%. You can change the duty cycle by changing these resistor values. You can see this is the T, total T, this is charging time TC, and discharge time TD. T, total T, is TC plus TD. So duty cycle variation, we can see the first case, this is done in the lab. If you want a duty cycle less than 50%, so if you want a duty cycle less than 50%, we have already designed resistor R1 and R2. R1 is less than R2, we have designed it in the lab. You can check it out in your manuals. So you can see the charging time will be less. R1 over here, charging time is less. Since there is a diode connected in parallel, the current will not flow through this path because the resistance is more over here, R2. So the flow of current is through this, through the diode D1. So the charging time will be less because the resistance R1 is less. Then discharge path is through this. Through this there is a discharge. You know the internal circuitry, you can just refer back the slides and see the internal circuitry. So charging time is because of the resistor R1, discharge time is because of the resistor R2. So R1 is less, so charging time over here will be less, and discharge time will be more because R2 is big. Sorry, the value of R2 is larger than R1. So you get output like this, like this. So this is on time and this is your off time. So duty cycle less than 50%. Sorry. Second case, is duty cycle equals to 50%. So I'll just erase this part. Now we'll take the duty cycle equal to 50%. For duty cycle equal to 50%, this charging and discharging should be equal. To make this charging and discharging equal, the resistor R1 should be equal to R2. Only then the charging and discharging will be equal, because in the path of charging and discharging we have resistors R1 and R2. In the charging path we have resistor R1. In the discharge path you can see have resistor R2. And since we have a diode over here, the current flow is through this path. If it was in the this path R1 R2, then the duty cycle would have increased. But then since we have put a diode there, so the current flow is in this path, and then during charging, so in the charging path we have resistor R1, and in the discharge path we have resistor R2. So we get the output like this, and then again it will charge and then discharge in equal amount of time. So we get a proper square wave. Duty cycle is 50%. This is a free running oscillator. Why? Because we don't connect any input to this. Whenever supply is given, the current starts flowing and the charging and discharging is happening over here. So it's a free running oscillator. To produce a square wave or any wave of a particular duty cycle, just the supply is more than enough. Moving on to the design part. So the time during the capacitor charges is Tc, 0.69 into R1 plus R2 into C. R1 and R2 are the two resistance in the charging and the discharge path. C is the capacitor. Time during which the capacitor discharges. This is for the duty cycle more than 50%. The discharge path, resistor R2 is there. This is without the diode in the circuit. So discharge TD is 0.69 into R2 into C. Total time period T is T charging plus T discharging. So it is 0.69 into R1 plus R2 into C plus 0.69 into R2 into C. So you get this 0.69 into R1 plus 2R2 into C. Frequency of oscillation, as you all know, F is 1 by T. 1 by T. So 1 by this value will give you this 1.45 divided by R1 plus 2R2 into C. So this is the equation for frequency of oscillation. This is the equation, frequency of oscillation. Duty cycle is T charging by T into 100. Duty cycle is Tc by T, where T is the total time. So we know this total time is Tc plus Td is the total time. Substituting the values over here, Tc is this, Tc is this, divided by T, T is this. So if you substitute that, we get 0.69 get cancelled off, C get cancelled off. So what remains is R1 plus R2, this one, R1 plus R2 divided by this one, R2 plus 2R2 into 100 will give you the duty cycle. So this is the duty cycle in the percentage form. So an assignment problem, two assignment problems are there. First one, in a stable multivibrator, RA is given, RB is given, capacitor is given. Determine the positive pulse width, that is TC, positive pulse width. It is the time period for charging. Negative pulse width, discharge time, TD. Then frequency of oscillation, F naught. We have seen in the previous section the equations. 1 divided by T is your F naught, T is TC plus TD. Then duty cycle also we have seen, TC by T into 100 gives you the duty cycle. Okay. Next, to design a stable multivibrator with supply of 10 volt, duty cycle 60%. Duty cycle is given over here 60%. Frequency of oscillation is also given 1.5k. So based on this, you have to design a stable multivibrator. In the sense, you have to design for R1, then you have to design for R2 and the capacitor C. Capacitor C can be selected as 0.01, 0.1 microfarad, and based on TC and TD equation you can select R1 and R2. Sorry, this is not RA/RB, this is R1 and R2. Just for your and better understanding, this is R1 and R2. Next section will discuss about the monostable multivibrator. Thank you.